Welcome to another episode of Ship War, my top 10 list of the best romances in film of 2012.
Ship War. When ship happens, I'm there.
This is not the be-all, end-all of lists when it comes to romances. It's just my opinion. If you want to disagree with me, by all means, please do. Post that in the comments stating what's your top 10 favorite romances in 2012, or just one. If you only enjoyed one, let me know. So with that said, number 10. Sam and Susie from Moonrise Kingdom. I really enjoyed this film. This film was a lot of fun, and the romance in it was as fun as well. Yes, they're two 12-year-old kids. They fall in love, love at first sight. Very awkward kids. Some of the scenes in the movie were a little awkward because they're 12-year-old kids, and there's this one scene where they're kissing and and they're in their underwears, and it's just a little weird. But you have to enjoy this story about two kids and their first love and all the things they do to just be with each other regardless of all the obstacles they have to go through just to be. Number 9 is John and Laurie from Ted. Mila Kunis, Mark Wahlberg, they're hilarious together. They have great chemistry as long as they're not in a movie about a video game called Max Payne. These two work wonderful together. I have to say it was by far one of the highlights in the movie. Having those two work together and have them being able to play off of each other and the way that they did helped make this movie what it was. And that's why John and Laurie from Ted make number 9. Number 8, Tony Stark and Pepper Potts from the Avengers. Yeah, their scene was very short-lived, probably maybe 3 minutes long, probably maybe 5 minutes long, but I have to say they're my favorite couple in the Marvel Universe, at least when it comes to movies, and I just really enjoyed their little back and forth in the Avengers, and I'm just looking forward to Iron Man 3 and just seeing more of those two together. Number 7 is Alfred Hitchcock and Alma from Hitchcock. I'm a big Alfred Hitchcock fan, and I really enjoyed seeing this behind the scene view of Alfred Hitchcock's relationship with his wife during his time of filming Psycho, and this conflict they had with each other and this resentment they had with each other. It was just a very real relationship, and you just see that even though they had issues, they still made it and they still ended up being together after everything, and after working together for a long time, they were still able to balance their love for each other and also their professional career with each other. Number 6 is Thaddeus Stephen and his slave, whose name I don't know, from Lincoln. Now, for those who don't know who I'm talking about, I'm referring to Tommy Lee Jones' character in Lincoln and his slave. In the film, Thaddeus Stevens, after the 13th Amendment is written and is put in law, he takes the physical actual official copy of it, he goes home, he gets in bed, and he hands it over to his house slave, who obviously is his lover. And after I saw that in the film, I was bawling like a baby because I thought that was the most sweetest romantic thing I've seen in film in a while, and I really enjoyed that, and that's why that one little scene and that exchange with Thaddeus and his house slave is my number 6 on this list. Number 5, Charlie and Sam from Perks of Being a Wallflower. I honestly thought these two were going to be higher than what they are on my list, but then I saw a bunch of other movies afterwards and they just came down on my list. But I really enjoyed this relationship in Perks of Being the Wallflower because it was really weird, their relationship. They were almost like brother and sister, best friends. You didn't know where they were going to go with the relationship, if they were going to be together, if not going to be together. You get to a point where you're like, yeah, this is never going to happen. They're never going to get together. They're just going to be friends. And then they get together and you're like, yes. Number 4 is a surprising one because I really just saw this movie yesterday, and that's Brunhilde and Django from Django Unchained. Now, I have to say Django Unchained is by far one of the most romantic movies I've seen in a long time, regardless how freaking violent the movie was. You just have to admire a guy like Django. Pretty much goes through crazy things just so he can find the woman that he loves, his wife, the woman. Throughout this course of his journey of trying to find her and get her back, he just can't help but always think back to her and have these flashbacks of all these things that happened with them, and he just can't get his mind off of this woman that he deeply loves, that he'll do anything for, to have her back and just be free with her. And it's just so romantic, regardless how violent the movie is. When you take that violence out and the cursing out and all the dirt out, you realize that Django Unchained is by far one of the most romantic movies of 2012. Yeah, for sure. Number 3 is Darius and Kenneth from Safety Not Guaranteed. Now this is another one that surprised me because I saw the movie and I fell in love with the film and this relationship between these two characters who are so weird and so awkward. I just love weird and awkward people as long as they're not too weird and not too awkward, and they're still somewhat pleasant to be around and nice at the same time. But yeah, these two people were that type of people that I like being around, and I had to admire that. I really enjoyed these two people and the relationship and the story and how they come to be and how weird the movie is, but yet freaking awesome. And I just really enjoyed this relationship. Number 2 is one that I was debating on whether or not it was going to be my number 1, but after everything was said and done, I just had to make it number 2, and I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with me, maybe not, I don't know, and that is Pat and Tiffany for Silver Linings Playbook. Everybody loves this movie. This is by far one of the best movies of 2012, if not. Actually, this is my favorite movie of 2012, for those who don't know. This movie was just all around amazing, and this romance between Pat and Tiffany, played by Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, was just amazing. It was one of those hate-love relationships that you don't even know if they even like each other, and then how the movie ends, you're like, where did that just come from? They completely despised each other. Pat didn't want anything to do with Tiffany, but yet they end up together, and you're happy about it. By the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, even though I didn't agree with it probably 30 minutes ago because I thought they were really bad for each other, at this point, I applaud them. Good for them. Now, my number 1 is a couple that became my number 1 because I'm completely biased towards this romance, and I've been biased towards them for a very long time, and that is Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle from The Dark Knight Rises. I've been a big fan of Catwoman and Batman since Batman Returns, since the animated cartoon back in the 90s on the WB. For those who've seen it, know what I'm talking about. And I've always rooted for these two to be together in one form or another, and I finally got it in this movie, and this was like something I've wanted for many, many years, and it probably took more than 15 years for it to finally happen, or I don't know how long it took, but it took a long time, and I finally got it, and I'm freaking happy, and I was just so happy while watching this movie and seeing these two finally end up together, because in every comic book, in every cartoon, in every other previous movie, it just never happened, and it finally happened on the big screen for all of us to see and enjoy, and for me to finally see and enjoy and be like, thank you, Christopher Nolan, thank you for doing something that I've wanted to see for so long that wasn't in some elsewhere comic or something like, I don't know, Birds of Prey, for those who know the TV series from the WB, where, yes, Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle are a couple, and they have a child, and I don't want to get into the details, but long story short, that's based off of an elsewhere comic, which is not based on actual reality of the comics, just some other universe. And this can be considered another universe, but I don't freaking care, because it was on the silver screen. The movie has made more than $1 billion, meaning a lot of people saw the movie, so now, in my opinion, it's canon, and I don't care what anybody says, and that's why Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle are number 1. So that is my list of the top 10 romances in film of 2012. I hope you guys enjoyed this list, and I hope you guys don't disagree too much on my choices. If you do, post them in the comments below. Tell me what you think. And I think I'm out. So that is all for this episode of Ship War. Goodbye, and until next time. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Now, here's my little disclaimer before I continue on to my review, and that is for those who are interested in seeing this movie, or those who have no idea what this movie's about, or do not even know it existed, or it was going to exist, or anything like that until this point on when you saw this video up here on this channel. Here's my advice to you guys. Don't watch any trailers. Do not read any summaries. Do not go on any message board. Definitely do not go on message boards. I went on a message board like probably an hour ago, and people were spoiling